It was that heavy of a thing, It's just a bunch of people in a room trying to do the best thing for the song.
Ready, set, and begin.
It was pretty a dark time going into that last one, and I think, between then and now we did the Iggy record, and we were able to, I think, get into like the complete opposite state of mind than we were last time we made a record. So that's probably the biggest difference between now and then.
Absolutely. So now you've got this new record, Villains. It's a very different record for you guys. It's a much different sound with Mark Ronson producing it. It's almost like, I kind of feel it might be a sound that a lot of the fans may not be used to or expecting. So how do you feel about a kind of change in the sound, and how is the reception going with that?
How's the reception going? It's too soon to tell. The record comes out in a month and a half or whatever that is. But, we knew that there was going to be an outside perception of what Mark Ronson would bring to this project. But, we're fans of each other. He's a Queens fan, so we had a lot of faith that he knew how to let us just be us. And, it was great. He would kind of reel us in when we needed to be, and I think we both had something to lose going into this and a lot to gain, so it was like, mutual risk reward scenario.
Absolutely. So on stage and on the record you play a lot of keyboard, a lot of guitar as well. And it's kind of, especially listening to the new record, there's a lot of very synth driven, a lot of keyboards, not as much guitar as what Queens of the Stone Age is normally about. So what do you think, how do you approach that? Like, who decides if you're playing a guitar part or a keyboard part, or how does that come across in the studio and on stage?
How do we decide who's playing what on a Queens record? There's never really been a rule book with it. I think part of the fun is trying to redefine its sound as a band. Mark brought in a million synthesizers, so there was just a room full of keyboards. And, I think, part of it is just what tools are around you at the time you're making a record. And I still kind of, approach keyboards like I do a guitar. I'm not really traditionally a keyboard player, so it's fun. It's a fun instrument to kind of, realign your mind and way you play.
With this big tour coming up, this is before the album's out. Are you sort of testing a lot of new material? Is this almost a rehearsal in a sense, or
the rehearsal? Yeah,
do you still
sort of. We don't want to overwhelm people yet. It's kind of a bummer when you go see somebody playing and you don't know any of the songs, right? So we're trying to do a few of them, sneak a few in. But the good thing about starting here is it gives us an opportunity to come back later on in the record cycle and do it a little bit more extensively.
Awesome. So you've been in the band for, I think, almost 10 years.
10 years,
10 years now, 2007. So how do you feel? Because I was reading the history about it, you sort of got the call and then you were sort of in straight off. And how do you feel your role in the band has changed or stayed the same or evolved since day one?
How's my role changed? I think it's just, the more time you spend, the more trust you get. I still feel like, I try to be in a supportive role for whatever Josh is trying to do. And that's what I feel my job has always been. But, the more you spend time together touring and writing, you challenge each other to do new things and kind of get outside of yourself a little bit more. So, it inevitably changes over years. I think, like you said a few minutes ago, I think on this record in particular, there's a little bit more, it's leaning a little heavier on keys than previous ones.
So how do you feel, like we were saying, it's been 3 years since you've been here last, and how do you feel, what can the fans expect to be different in the stage show this time, especially with the new album? How do you feel your sound has changed in your performances?
It's so hard for me to tell how things have changed with us over the years, because it's one of those things you don't really notice it when you're in it. And I've always thought that. I've always thought, you can't really ever tell until you have time to look back on something what it actually is. And we just try to do the most truthful representation of where we are at the moment. And that's all this record is just how we were feeling in those particular few months that we were writing and recording this record.
Cool. And back to the recording of the record. Obviously, you've got Mark Hanson producing. Obviously, Josh sort of as the band leader, main songwriter. How was that? Kind of those two big personalities, those kind of two big controlling forces working together with you guys.
Yeah, so I guess I never really felt like it was that heavy of a thing, you know. It's just a bunch of people in a room trying to do the best thing for the song, you know. And everybody has that mindset in this band, which is, I think, what makes it pretty effortless in a recording situation. You know, there's egos there, but nobody's trying to do their own agenda. You know, it's always like the song just tells you what to do. And so it's really never been difficult working with those guys. So.
Awesome.